Alaska's massive.
It's the ideal spot for species to go unnoticed for hundreds of years.
Deep in the Alaskan wilderness, a special ops team sets off on what should have been a routine mission. But as they push deeper into the frozen terrain, a chilling presence begins to reveal itself. Something is out there, lurking just beyond their sight. Their every step draws them deeper into an ancient mystery, one whispered about in forgotten legends. What they're chasing, or what's hunting them, might be far more terrifying than they ever imagined. Join us to find out what haunts the depths of Alaska's shadowy forests. A chilling discovery in the Alaskan wilderness. In February 1994, a group of 11 soldiers, led by a man named Miles, embarked on a standard training exercise deep in the Alaskan wilderness. Their mission was straightforward: enter the area, remain unseen, and leave without a trace. Armed with skis, backpacks, tents, and warm clothing to protect them from the freezing winter, they believed they were prepared for anything. The team set out from near Fairbanks, moving east past the Alaskan Air Force Base. Along the way, they battled steep hills, deep valleys, swampy areas, and thick woods, all while pushing forward through the harsh, icy landscape. As they pressed on, the team reached a particularly dense forest. This was where things began to take a strange turn. Realizing they needed to check if the forest was passable or if they should find another route, Miles and 2 other members swapped their skis for snowshoes and ventured deeper into the woods. It wasn't long before they made a discovery that left them stunned: enormous footprints in the snow. These prints were like nothing they had seen before. Each one measured between 18 and 19 inches long and was spaced about 5 feet apart. Always prepared, Miles pulled out a tape measure and confirmed the size. But that wasn't the only thing that caught their attention. The footprints were deep and sharply defined, almost as if whatever had made them moved effortlessly through the snow. When one of the soldiers tried to walk through the same area without snowshoes, he immediately sank into the snow up to his knees, leaving behind a messy, unrecognizable trail. In stark contrast, the prints they found were smooth and clear, as though the creature had no difficulty moving through the deep snow. This discovery completely transformed the tone of their mission. What had started as a typical training exercise quickly turned into a thrilling mystery. The prints suggested that a large, unknown creature, perhaps native to the region, was roaming the area with remarkable ease. Their excitement only grew as they called in their sergeant, an experienced tracker, to examine the prints more closely. The sergeant's inspection revealed even more extraordinary details. The footprints were indeed about 18 inches long, and the clear impressions of toes hinted at the size of the creature. He estimated that the animal could have been as tall as 9 feet and weighed between 500 and 700 pounds. These were just initial guesses, but the find was clearly exceptional. Determined to learn more about whatever creature was out there, they decided to follow the trail. The tracks led them through rugged ridges and thick woods, always avoiding open spaces. This cautious behavior fascinated the team. It was as if the creature knew exactly how to stay hidden, mirroring the very tactics they were trained to use to remain unseen in the wilderness. As they pushed forward, the deep snow slowed their progress. Switching between skis and snowshoes, they continued their pursuit, although moving through the dense forest was anything but easy. By the time daylight faded, they decided to set up camp for the night. Exhausted from the day's efforts, the team prepared their meals, laid out their sleeping bags, and settled in under the quiet, cold Alaskan sky. The wind barely stirred the air, but the silence only hinted at what was to come. It was around 4 a.m. when Miles was startled awake by an eerie sound in the distance, a deep, resonant howl that echoed through the hills. It wasn't the sound of any animal he'd heard before. At first he thought it might have been a wolf, but this was much deeper, almost like a roar. As he lay there, the forest returned to its usual silence, but Miles remained wide awake, sensing that something was still out there. Moments later, a new noise approached their camp, growing louder and louder before suddenly stopping about 100 feet away. The sudden stillness that followed was even more unsettling. With the winter air freezing cold and no natural sounds to ease the tension, the atmosphere was thick with unease. Miles, as the team leader, was now fully alert, convinced they were not alone. Suddenly, the quiet night was shattered by movement to the southeast. The noise didn't seem to be approaching or receding, but rather moving back and forth. Branches snapped under the weight of something large, which roused the entire team. One by one, they emerged from their tents, ready to investigate. But as quickly as the rustling had started, it stopped again, plunging the team back into an unnerving silence. The night wasn't over yet, though. Not long after, a loud, piercing scream cut through the air, echoing for several seconds before everything fell silent once more. As the eerie sounds faded, the team knew they had to act. Flashlights in hand, they scanned the forest, but found nothing. Armed only with basic gear and no ammunition, they felt too vulnerable to continue their pursuit of whatever was out there. Then, just before dawn, a loud, unmistakable crack echoed through the forest, the sound of a tree being forcefully toppled. That was the final signal. Whatever was lurking nearby was far too close, and the team made the decision to leave as soon as the sun rose. They began packing up their camp, planning to depart around 8:30 to 9 o'clock. But before leaving, Miles and another soldier decided to check the area one last time. What they found was chilling. More massive footprints in a freshly broken pine tree, cleanly snapped as though something powerful had moved through. The evidence was undeniable. Something large and powerful had been in the area, and it wasn't too far from where they had camped. Later, after returning from their mission, Miles and his team chose not to share their experience. Fear of unwanted attention and scrutiny at their base kept them from revealing what they had seen. Little did they know, their discovery was only the beginning of a much larger mystery. The aftermath. After their strange encounter with enormous footprints deep in the Alaskan wilderness, they had an opportunity to gain some insight from Anthony, a survival expert from northeastern Washington. Anthony wasn't just any expert. He had trained at the prestigious Fairchild Air Force Survival School, a place known for teaching people how to handle the toughest survival situations. At Fairchild, one of the essential skills they teach is how to navigate using topographical maps. These maps aren't like your typical road maps. They're packed with intricate details about the terrain and the types of wildlife that live in those regions. But what really grabbed Miles's attention was something unexpected on those maps. An illustration of Sasquatch, better known to many as Bigfoot. It wasn't just some scribbled drawing or folklore for fun. This was on an official survival map, a tool meant for serious situations. The fact that Bigfoot was right there on a survival map piqued Miles's curiosity, especially since his team had just experienced something so bizarre. Those massive footprints they found, which didn't resemble any known animal, now seemed even more significant. Could they have stumbled upon something much larger than they originally thought? Miles couldn't shake the feeling that they had been close to discovering something extraordinary. The more he thought about it, the more he wondered what might have happened if they had chosen to follow those strange tracks deeper into the wilderness. The footprints were remarkable in both size and shape, unlike anything the team had ever encountered. They were large, detailed, and spaced far apart, as though made by something moving through the forest with an unusual grace and stealth. This wasn't typical animal behavior. Nothing in their training or experience explained it. Combined with the map that featured Bigfoot, it led Miles to question whether they had, in fact, encountered something unknown, perhaps even a Sasquatch. This experience left a deep mark on Miles and the team. It made them realize that despite all their training, there was still so much about the natural world they didn't fully understand. And so, the tale of these strange footprints leads us to a legend that stretches across generations. The Bigfoot legend. For decades, the legend of Bigfoot, or Sasquatch, has captivated people's imaginations across North America. Often described as a tall, two-footed, and hairy figure, this creature's origins are rooted in Native American folklore. The stories spoke of a mysterious being known as a wild man or hairy giant roaming the wilderness, far from human civilization. But it wasn't until the late 1950s that Bigfoot gained widespread attention. In 1958, a construction worker named Jerry Crew discovered massive human-like footprints in Bluff Creek, California. When the local newspaper picked up the story, they coined the term Bigfoot, and just like that, a legend was born. This discovery sparked endless reports of sightings and similar footprints across North America, adding fuel to the public's fascination. Bigfoot is often described as a towering figure, standing between 6 and 15 feet tall, with dark fur covering its body. Its footprints, which measure up to 24 inches, are almost as famous as the creature itself. Witnesses also report a strong, unpleasant odor and note that Bigfoot is able to move quietly through the forest. Some have even claimed to hear eerie screams or whistles in areas where the creature has been spotted. One of the most debated pieces of evidence is the 1967 film shot by Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin near Bluff Creek, which appears to show a large humanoid figure. The film has sparked endless debates, with some considering it a hoax, while others believe it to be undeniable proof of Bigfoot's existence. The legend of Bigfoot isn't just a piece of folklore, though. It reflects our deep curiosity about the unknown and our relationship with the natural world. Many indigenous tribes in the Pacific Northwest have their own versions of the Sasquatch story, such as the Tsatsils people of Canada, who call it Saskats, meaning wild men. Once feared in horror films and adventure stories, Bigfoot has transformed over the decades into something much more symbolic. During the 1970s and 1980s, Bigfoot was portrayed as a menacing, mysterious figure lurking in the wilderness. But as the years passed, particularly in the 1990s and 2000s, public perception shifted. Bigfoot became a symbol of conservation, representing the need to protect nature and preserve its untouched beauty. Despite countless reports of sightings, physical evidence like footprints and hair samples, many scientists remain skeptical about the existence of Bigfoot. They often attribute the sightings to misidentified animals or elaborate hoaxes. Yet the legend persists, and it continues to captivate those intrigued by the unknown. Experts like physical anthropologists Jeff Meldrum and Grover Krantz believe that the evidence gathered so far merits deeper investigation. Meldrum, for example, has studied footprint casts that have unique features, hinting at the possibility of an undiscovered creature. In addition to sightings, reports of strong odors and makeshift structures in the woods have often been associated with Bigfoot. Some theories even suggest the creature may have burial practices, which could explain why no remains have been found. In places like Oregon and Washington, particularly the Pacific Northwest, Bigfoot has evolved into more than just folklore. It's a cultural icon representing the wild and mysterious spirit of the region. Some communities have even passed local laws to protect Bigfoot. Bigfoot frequently appears in various forms of media, from documentaries to cartoons, keeping the legend alive. While concrete evidence remains elusive, the combination of historical tales, ongoing fascination, and Bigfoot's connection to nature ensures that its legend endures, inspiring new generations to wonder about what could be hidden in the wilderness. Yet Bigfoot is not alone in the annals of the unexplained. The Loch Ness Monster. Along with Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, also known as Nessie, has captivated imaginations for centuries. Nestled in Scotland's Loch Ness, the creature's story has been shaped by local folklore and a history of reported sightings. The earliest tale dates back to the 6th century, when Saint Columba, an Irish monk, is said to have encountered a threatening creature in the River Ness. According to legend, the creature was attacking a man, but when Columba commanded it to stop, it retreated, sparing the man's life. This is considered the first recorded sighting of what would later be known as Nessie. Interest in Nessie surged in the 20th century, when a newly built road offered a clear view of the loch. In 1933, a local couple reported seeing a large creature in the water. Their account, published in a local newspaper, ignited public fascination, leading to a series of sightings and investigations into the existence of this mysterious creature. One of the most famous moments in Nessie's history came in 1934, when London surgeon Robert Kenneth Wilson captured what became known as the surgeon's photograph. The image appeared to show the monster's long neck rising from the water and quickly became iconic. However, decades later, the photograph was revealed to be a hoax, disappointing many, but failing to quench the public's fascination. Despite the hoax, reports of Nessie sightings continued. Most descriptions detail a creature with a long neck and humps breaking through the water. Some theories suggest Nessie could be a surviving plesiosaur, an ancient marine reptile. However, due to the cold conditions and geological history of Loch Ness, this theory is considered highly unlikely by experts. Despite the many hoaxes and scientific skepticism, the legend of the Loch Ness Monster continues to thrive. For decades, tourists have flocked to Loch Ness, hoping to catch a glimpse of this elusive creature. The local economy benefits from the ongoing fascination, and Nessie's story lives on through countless books, documentaries, and studies. But despite all the excitement, no definitive proof has ever been found. Over the years, efforts to solve the mystery of Nessie have become more advanced. In the 1960s, British universities used sonar technology to scan the depths of Loch Ness. These studies detected large, unidentified objects moving underwater. Though intriguing, they didn't provide enough evidence to confirm Nessie's existence. A 1975 expedition brought even more attention when it captured an image that resembled a flipper. However, this was not widely accepted as conclusive evidence either. Some people argue that the sightings are merely misinterpretations or natural phenomena. Waves caused by temperature changes, floating logs, or even otters and seals have been suggested as explanations. Then there's the issue of hoaxes, which have certainly fueled the Nessie legend over the years. One of the earliest, in the 1930s, involved big game hunter Marmaduke Wetherell, who claimed to have found large footprints near the loch. These were later revealed to have been made with a hippopotamus foot. And of course, there's the infamous surgeon's photograph mentioned earlier, which was revealed to be a hoax, created with a toy submarine. Despite the debunked hoaxes and lack of concrete evidence, Nessie's story remains embedded in Scottish folklore. The legend continues to draw interest from tourists, researchers, and the curious. In the 21st century, people still report new sightings, and the search for the truth continues, yet not all creatures hide in the depths. The chupacabra. Just like Bigfoot in the dense forests of North America, or Nessie in the depths of Loch Ness, the chupacabra has earned its place as one of the most infamous cryptids. But while the legend of Bigfoot dates back centuries, and Nessie's stories are interwoven with Scottish folklore, the chupacabra is a more recent addition to the world of mysterious creatures. Emerging from Puerto Rico in the 1990s, this blood-sucking beast quickly became a cultural sensation, with reported sightings spreading across Latin America and even the southern United States. The story of the chupacabra began in 1995, when a woman named Madeline Tolentino claimed to have seen a bizarre creature outside her home in Canovanas, Puerto Rico. According to her description, the creature was reptilian, with dark eyes, spikes down its back, and the ability to hop like a kangaroo. It was also during this time that 8 sheep were found dead, completely drained of blood, with strange puncture wounds on their chests. These gruesome attacks sparked panic, leading to over 200 reported sightings of the creature in Puerto Rico alone that year. What added to the frenzy was that Tolentino's description of the chupacabra bore a striking resemblance to a creature from the science fiction movie Species, which had been released just months before her sighting. Some experts, like paranormal investigator Benjamin Radford, have suggested that Tolentino's memory may have been influenced by the film. This theory gained traction after Radford's 5-year investigation into the chupacabra myth, where he discovered multiple connections between the creature's description and the alien figure from the movie. While the chupacabra legend started with these eerie, alien-like creatures in Puerto Rico, later sightings painted a very different picture. By the early 2000s, reports began to surface in Texas and other parts of the southern United States, describing hairless, dog-like creatures. Unlike the reptilian version, these chupacabras walked on all fours and looked more like animals suffering from severe mange. In fact, DNA tests conducted on alleged chupacabra carcasses revealed that they were often coyotes or dogs afflicted by the skin disease, which caused them to lose their fur and take on a ghastly appearance. But if these creatures were simply sick animals, what was causing the livestock deaths in Puerto Rico and beyond? While many believed the chupacabra was responsible for draining animals of their blood, autopsies revealed that most of the animals still had blood in their bodies. Wildlife experts have suggested that dogs or coyotes were likely the culprits, attacking the animals by biting their necks and leaving behind puncture wounds that resembled vampire bites. Even with the scientific evidence debunking many chupacabra sightings, the legend persists. In some parts of Mexico, Chile, and Nicaragua, the chupacabra is still believed to roam the countryside, and every so often, new reports of strange animal deaths or encounters with mangy, dog-like creatures stir up renewed interest in the myth. Some locals even believe the chupacabra could be the result of a secret U.S. government experiment gone wrong, while others suggest it might be an extraterrestrial creature left behind after a visit from aliens. Despite debunkings, the allure of the chupacabra remains strong. Like Bigfoot and Nessie, it taps into our fascination with the unknown. As strange as the chupacabra, Bigfoot, and Nessie may be, there are far older and more fearsome creatures that have captivated cultures worldwide. Famous mythical creatures. Throughout history, cultures around the world have shared stories of mythical creatures that reflect humanity's fascination with the unknown, the dangerous, and the magical. One of the most iconic mythical creatures is the chimera from Greek mythology. The chimera is a fearsome, fire-breathing beast with a body made up of various animal parts: the head and body of a lion, a goat's head emerging from its back, and a snake for a tail. This terrifying creature terrorized the ancient world until the hero Bellerophon, riding the winged horse Pegasus, defeated it. Armed with a spear tipped with lead, Bellerophon cleverly used the creature's own fire-breathing ability against it by thrusting the lead into its mouth, causing it to melt and suffocate the beast. Another legendary creature is the phoenix, a magnificent bird from Greek, Egyptian, and Arabic folklore. Known for its brilliant, colorful feathers and its ability to rise from its own ashes, the phoenix symbolizes renewal and immortality. According to legend, the phoenix lives for centuries, and when it is nearing the end of its life, it builds a nest, sets it on fire, and is consumed by the flames. From its ashes, a new phoenix is born, ready to live again. The phoenix's story of rebirth has inspired countless works of art and literature. The manticore, originating from Persian mythology and later adopted by Greek and medieval tales, is another fascinating creature. It combines a human-like face with the body of a lion and a tail that can shoot poisonous spikes. Known for its deadly appetite, the manticore was feared for its ability to kill from a distance using these spikes. Its name, derived from the Persian word for man-eater, reflects the creature's terrifying reputation. From European folklore comes the basilisk, often called the king of serpents. This strange creature is said to have the body of a serpent, the head of a rooster, and sometimes dragon-like wings. What makes the basilisk particularly dangerous is its deadly gaze. Just one look can kill instantly. Some tales also describe its breath as being so poisonous that it could kill on contact. The basilisk was often defeated through clever means, such as using a mirror to reflect its lethal gaze back at it, or by employing a weasel, which was believed to be immune to its venom. In the skies above, the roc from Arabic legend soars. This giant bird was said to be so large and powerful that it could carry off elephants. Stories of the roc were passed down by explorers like Marco Polo and Ibn Battuta, who wrote about the creature during their travels near the Indian Ocean. One of the most famous monsters from Greek mythology is the Minotaur, a creature with the body of a man and the head of a bull. Trapped in the labyrinth, a massive maze on the island of Crete, the Minotaur fed on human sacrifices sent to the island each year. The hero Theseus eventually defeated the Minotaur by navigating the labyrinth with the help of a ball of thread. Finally, there's the Kraken. The Kraken is a legendary sea monster from Norse mythology and is one of the most terrifying creatures described in Scandinavian folklore. Said to dwell in the deep waters of the North Atlantic, the Kraken was often depicted as a massive squid or octopus, with some tales suggesting its tentacles were so large they could reach more than a mile in length. Early sailors feared the Kraken because of its ability to drag entire ships down into the ocean depths, swallowing sailors whole. The earliest accounts of the Kraken date back to the 12th century, when Norwegian kings and other seafarers documented encounters with giant sea creatures. By the 13th century, stories of the Kraken had become deeply embedded in Norse sagas, with heroes like Otter facing off against the beast. In many accounts, the Kraken wasn't just a danger to sailors, it was thought to control the sea itself, able to summon massive waves or storms to aid its attacks. Some sailors even believed the Kraken could become invisible, allowing it to ambush its victims unnoticed. These mythical creatures, with their incredible powers and fearsome appearances, were more than just stories meant to entertain. They were representations of the unknown, the dangers lurking in the natural world, and humanity's deep-seated fears and dreams. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.